Hey, what's up you guys? It's your girl Alexis here, and I want to talk about a show that has infuriated me as well as other people, so let's get into it. Idol. Yikes. Fucking yikes, bro, because so many questionable things. I actually went into watching The Idol thinking it was gonna be good. I did not, at the time, whenever I first saw it on HBO and everything, I hadn't seen what anybody has said about it. Like, nobody was really hating on it yet, so I just saw it on HBO as a fun thing to watch, and I clicked on it, and me and my fiance watched it together. And oh my god, it's kept getting worse. So we're gonna get into that. Basically the plot of The Idol is this star is like stuck after mother passing away, and she doesn't really know what else to put out. So she's kind of going with the flow. Her team's kind of all over the place, and things happen, and I am gonna be spoiling certain things, like the major plot points of this show, but I'm not going to be spoiling like little details that happened in the very beginning of the show, so because I don't really care, because it really doesn't set up much in the show besides like the over-sexualization of everything, in my opinion. You can probably have a really sexy show without it feeling like there's no point. This felt like there was no point beyond the pop star being like, oh, I want to break out of this shell, but really it's modern, so it doesn't make sense that she wants to break out of this shell, and she doesn't really seem like she's very, I don't know, I just don't feel like she was actually ever like censored heavily, other than like the first 5 minutes of the show where they're talking about showing her nipples or not showing her nipples. Other than that, that's the only time that you feel like she's ever censored, but they talk about it as if she is throughout the show. She's stuck, and she goes out, and she's partying, and she goes to this club, and she meets Tedros, who is creepy with a rat tail. I like The Weeknd's music, but his performance in this just left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm probably sure like a lot of people's mouths were filled with some nasty stuff after this too. I watched the whole show, so I'm going in on every in this video, so I hope you guys are ready. Tedros, I got bad vibes from the get-go. Apparently it was a big setup between him and, I forgot her name, but the girl who was like a backstage dancer and like ended up stealing one of Jocelyn's songs, or trying to, or whatever. Apparently it was like a big setup or something to get her in the spotlight or something. But they don't really touch on that until like early and then later. Like the whole middle part of the show, they don't really talk about it. I don't know. But meeting Tedros was probably the biggest mistake Jocelyn's ever made, because holy crap, he was so manipulative, so abusive, not just to her, but to all the people in the house, all of his little posse, his little cult, people that like blindly follow him and shit. Abuse. Even Xander, who was Jocelyn's friend, ended up being abused by him, and it's crazy. So that's basically the plot. It goes from talking about Jocelyn's career to talking about their relationship and how it's affecting her career, and it's really weird. It's really fucking weird. At some point it shifts from being obvious that it's him to being like, was it Jocelyn this whole time? And I don't even fucking know, because it's not obvious anymore after a while. After like episode 3, I think, it's like, it starts to get confusing, and it's like, what? I don't know anymore. Especially in the finale, you're left very confused and just like, why is this a thing? I don't know. I don't have any answers. I don't know. But the characters. Tedros is cringy. The sexual nature of how he interacts with Jocelyn sexually grosses me out. It makes me uncomfortable. The BDSM, everything, just anytime they are making out or having sex or doing anything, I don't believe they are in love. I don't believe that she loves him at all. And I don't know if that was the point or not, but it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. They are very cringy together, and I don't like to watch it. It's that, nope, I don't like it. The show itself is also very cringy. It feels very edgy for the sake of just being edgy, and shock value, kind of like Euphoria, which makes sense. I think somebody said that there was like a director that worked on Euphoria that was also making the show. Yikes. I do like Euphoria. There are some things I don't like about Euphoria, and it's probably obvious. It's some underage things that are presented in the show make me feel a little icky, but beyond that, it's like, I like the show. I like the characters. I root for the characters actively in the show. I don't root for any of these characters in this show besides Leia and Destiny. And then, because Leia and Destiny seem like the only sane characters in this show, and like they're going to do something to get Tedros out of Jocelyn's life, but like they never do. They never actively actually do anything. He always ends up still there. He's still doing shit, and up until the very fucking end, he's still fucking there. And they don't do anything until Jocelyn like straight up does something to get him out and says, hey, I want him out of my fucking life. I never really knew what Jocelyn was thinking herself. It could have been because she was a stuck pop star trying to figure it out, whatever, but I never felt like I could understand her at all. I don't understand that girl at all, and I don't understand Tedros or anybody besides Destiny and Leia. They seemed like the only sane people in this show. I was rooting for them this entire show. Things that make me the most uncomfortable about the show itself is probably the sex and the BDSM aspects to it. The whole him pulling the hood over her head and kind of teasing her or whatever, that happened in maybe the first episode, something like that, super early on, and I think it was like the first time they had sex, maybe the second. It was icky. It was uncomfortable. There was no warning. There was no context that you could like see it coming, besides like Tedros talking about like being kinky at the club, but the way he does it is like very vague. Like, he doesn't talk about anything in particular, and he doesn't tell you that like Jocelyn's into that. She's just kind of intrigued by like what he is talking about just because he seems interesting, but she doesn't actively seem like she's into it, in my opinion. But it's weird. It's so weird. All of their sexual interactions are like either in public or super duper kinky in some way of like BDSM, if you want to call it that. I, as a person who is into BDSM, don't like seeing it unless there is some kind of context. I feel like mainstream media almost never gets it right when it comes to showcasing how BDSM relationships go or how BDSM sex is supposed to happen. The show, everything that could happen wrong happened, and I didn't like almost every action almost everyone took. All in all, my rating out of 10, 3 out of 10 for the add-on. I'm sorry to those who have also had the unfortunate experience of watching the entire show, because I know how you feel. Very infuriating. And I hope if they do a second season or like continue with the show, I hope it gets better. and not as bad as it was. And if they choose to just scrap the show because of how bad it's doing, that's fine too. That's completely fine with me. I have no opinion on that. I'm not looking forward to it coming back, so we'll see what happens. So thank you guys for watching, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff, or if you want me to talk about anything, please comment what else you would like me to talk about.